Hey everybody, welcome back. We have a special guest today. This is my friend Chad. Chad is somebody that I met when I first moved to the house I'm living in right now. And I figured it'd be good to get to know the fire department of the town I'm living in, given my situation and circumstances. So Chad has been kind enough today to share a little bit about his story and his career. So I'd love to know if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. And how I got into the fire service?
Yes.
Okay. So I grew up in a small town in East Texas, Canton, and just from the time I was a little boy, obviously I knew about the fire department because I had a dad that worked for Dallas Fire Department.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up.
Family.
I grew up with it in my family.
Yep.
I had two uncles and a grandfather also, so huge family of firemen. So I grew up knowing that's what I wanted to do forever. So
Yeah.
that's how I got into it. So no big story, just grew up in it.
That's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
when I think of Canton, I think of Canton Trade Days.
First Monday.
They have delicious baked potatoes there. That's awesome.
Funny story, when I was a kid, my dad owned the baked potato stand down there.
What?
And so I worked that all the time as a kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't miss First Monday.
Yeah, I'm sure. That is so crazy. You know, when I was younger, my mom and I would always we'd do like she would take me out of school,
Yeah.
and we'd do like a mother-daughter
Oh, yeah.
day.
Oh, yeah.
And we would go to Canton, and we would always get those big baked potatoes.
Well, I probably saw you then.
Oh, man. I was little at that time. I was
Yeah.
probably like 11, 12. That's awesome. Well, I know, being a fireman comes with its set of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about some personal challenges, and I was wondering if you were open to sharing a little bit of the challenges that you have been through.
Sure. I'm assuming you're talking about the cancer.
I am.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Kind of came out of nowhere, didn't even have symptoms. Luckily, our fire department does physicals every year where they do the blood work and body scans. And so I guess the first year, what tells you for prostate cancer for men is the PSA level. It's a blood screening that they do, and that the first year my normal level doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's like, well, we'll keep an eye on it, because he didn't, I mean, as young as I was, nobody was really thinking prostate cancer at that time. But then the second year, when they did the blood work again, it doubled again. It's like, something's going on.
Yeah.
So ended up going to a urologist and having a bunch of tests, and sure enough, that's what it was. It's prostate cancer.
Yeah.
So.
Man. How did you there's nothing that can prepare you for something like that. What was your initial,
My
going through your
initial
head?
is, all of us when we're kids, we think nothing's going to get us,
Invincible.
we're invincible. So, and you always hear about people having cancer or people getting this or that, and you're like, it's always somebody you knew. Well, then all of a sudden you get the news that it's kind of devastating, actually. I mean, because my kids just graduated school. One's graduated college, one's in college, and so it's just my wife and I at home. It's finally our time to get back together.
Yeah.
And get to travel and do all the things because we're close to retirement. And I was like, now, but you have that initial stage, but then you're like, okay, well, we're going to beat this.
Yeah.
And then you move forward. But that initial, it is kind of your heart just sinks. You're like,
It's a shock.
yeah.
Cancer, it's a battle that changes everything. How did you kind of begin to mentally prepare, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
What do we need to do
Yeah.
now?
Well, luckily I have a strong faith in God, And so I definitely lean on that, and of course my family. My wife, yeah, I wouldn't have made it without her. We're high school sweethearts, so we've like known
I
each
love
other
that.
since we're kids, and
Yeah.
so just having her by my side, I think that if I didn't have that and didn't have my faith in God, I don't know. I don't. It'd probably be a different answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two things, family and God, is what got me through.
Yeah, community is everything, you know.
Yeah.
Anybody can do a hard thing if they've
Yeah.
got a lot of support
Yep,
with
for sure.
them. Well, as a firefighter, you know, you've faced life-threatening situations, but cancer is a personal battle.
Yeah.
How did you navigate the emotional and mental toll? Obviously, having the family
Yeah.
and your faith,
Yeah.
but how did you navigate that with, you know, your career
Yeah.
as well?
Well, I leaned on those two things for sure, and then just trying to, because I'm sure, like you, going through what you've gone through, there's all these peaks and valleys of, you're mad,
Yeah.
you get, and then you go into that depression. I had that early on, the depression, because I wasn't able to get out, wasn't able to do anything, and just the wondering if you're ever going to be the same or get back to
Yeah.
normal. So yeah, fighting through that. So then it just became a mental battle, and just using having the family there to help, because my wife was excellent about you got to get up, you got to go,
Yeah.
go
Pushing
go
you.
hang out with your friends, go do stuff that get your mind off what you're going through. And so
That helps a lot.
it helps a lot.
It does. It's the peaks and valleys. You're right
Yes.
about that. It's like, man, there's some days where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then there's other days where it's like, oh no, we're
Yeah.
going to figure out a way, you know? It's like the will to live. It's
For
innate.
sure. Yeah,
you
it
know?
is.
What were the most surprising lessons you learned during treatment that you just didn't expect to face?
There's really not much there on that one. I kind of halfway expected it to be kind of tough, and it was. Luckily for me, I didn't have to go through any treatments. They just took my prostate out. So the tough part about that was just the brutal surgery. That I don't wish that on anybody. Just that
Painful.
that initial, you don't realize you use your stomach muscles as much as you do. All the initial stuff, and then obviously there's long-term effects from not having a prostate. That's a battle, and that's the hard part. Just knowing that you're not really ever going to be the same.
Yeah.
As far as a man,
Yeah.
from a man
Yeah.
side of that, and
Yeah.
so that's always going to be a constant mental battle.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I fall back on. I've got a great
Yeah.
wife that's
The-
right there to help me along. So
And those that love us,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
they stick by our side no matter what.
Yep.
How did your perspective on life and health evolve after like overcoming this,
So
especially in your role as a
yeah,
firefighter?
obviously I see a lot of death, and I see a lot of it come way too early. And so when something like this hits you personally, then you do get over it. You also start thinking, how we are mortal. We're gonna pass away eventually,
Yeah.
but you don't want it to be before your time. And then again, I also know the Creator has that time. God knows when we're gonna go. So it kind of opened my eyes up to realize life is short. So live it up.
Yeah.
Love hard. Call that family member that you haven't talked to in a while. Let them know you love them. Your friends. Don't be afraid to tell them you love
Yeah.
them. Because
we
you
don't
do.
say it enough.
Don't say it enough. And so that's been a big one for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that's life changing will definitely,
Yeah.
get you in a mindset of just, I don't know, you just don't see the world the same.
Yeah. You don't take it for granted anymore.
No, you don't. It's like you'll catch yourself complaining about something minuscule and you'll be like, damn it, I need to quit doing that.
Exactly. Exactly. It could always be worse.
Yeah. Looking back, what advice would you give to someone who is starting, that battle?
Yeah.
and just everything you've learned along the way.
Yeah, I think if I ran into somebody that's about to go down this road, I would let them know that, number one, it's going to be okay. You're gonna come out better on the other side. Make sure that, in my case, and not everybody has faith like I do, so I would hope that they would have faith, because I think you need that.
Something to believe in.
Yes, you got to have something to believe in, and then a strong, family, community that's going to be there to support you. Make sure you've got that, and then just be ready to battle. Like, don't let this be it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like, I think you find like a strength within you too that you don't realize you have.
Right.
And it is like part of being human.
Yeah.
You find that within you.
And you never thought you were going to have to be that way, though, either. So all of a sudden it's like, oh.
Yeah. You're like accessing a part of you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you're kind of forced into it.
Yeah.
And it builds character and wisdom and a greater sense of empathy for people around you as well. For sure. Well, speaking of your job, can you describe a memorable call or a moment in your career, and what did you learn from it?
Well, what we talked about earlier, just recently there was a plane crash here, and I was called to that, and a very seasoned pilot, like the people we talked to, said he could fly any plane, he could do anything with any plane, but it was his time, and we had a crash here, and that pilot did not make it. Luckily, there was nobody else in the plane. It was just him, so it was only one fatality. But seeing that and hearing how great of a pilot he was, but yet he still crashed and unfortunately passed away, again, it reiterates what we're saying about life is short. When it's your time, it's your time. So be ready. Be ready to go. Make sure everything, like we said, make sure you've told your loved ones you love them if you haven't done it, and just be ready at any time. So
and live life to the fullest.
Live life to the fullest.
Because sometimes it feels like it drags, but it really doesn't. You blink and I mean, before I know it, I'll be 30. I'm like, where did the time go?
Yes.
Trust
me, it passes fast.
I'm like, I'm not going to be 17 forever. Those are memorable moments too, because it's images, that I know live rent free.
Oh yeah.
In your mind. It is a humbling experience.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that we really aren't invincible like we think we are. You can be the most trained race car driver and still, so that's why too we have to be extra careful. I think a lot of people just zip through life not thinking about the things that can happen.
Consequences, things that can happen. Yep.
Yeah. Well, lastly, I'd like you to share just some safety tips that you'd recommend to the general public, to stay safe, to prevent fires. Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize, fires can start many different ways.
Yeah, so this June, I will have worked for Mesquite Fire Department for 31 years. And I think probably the most fires that I've seen, besides, electrical malfunctions or lightning hitting houses, some of the more memorable ones are candles. People leaving candles burning and unattended.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is people don't think about it is if you've got cats or dogs, they're curious. They jump up on wherever that candle is and they're sniffing around and they hit it with their tail, knock something over or knock something into it. So we've had a lot of fires that way, and people just don't think about, a scented candle. Oh, it's fine. Well, it's fine if you're there and you're attending it, but people will leave. Like, they'll go to the grocery store while the candle's still burning. It's like, put the candle out, please, because you
crazy.
You just don't know. That's a big one. And then, like for kids, I think every family needs to make sure that they teach their kids to, as soon as they do hear that fire alarm going off, to get out and don't try and get back in to get animals like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I've had several people pass away from going back into fires to get their pets.
Yeah.
So teach the kids to just get out and have a meeting place outside, across the street, somebody else's mailbox, and make sure everybody has that meeting place. So everybody, if it's in the middle of the night, everybody gets out and gets to that meeting place. Okay, all four of us are here, so we're good. And you can tell the fire department when they pull up, everybody's out, because we've got a mode. We got one group that shows up is putting out a fire mode, but the other group that's coming is a search and rescue. So if we know immediately right off the bat that, hey, everybody's out, then that helps us do other things.
Makes your job easier.
Yes. Yeah.
Man, you're talking about the cats and dogs. My sister's dog and my dog, they run through the house and they bump into stuff. And I don't like to have a candle going when they're in there, because I'm like, I feel like they would not get over it, But, my boss, her husband went on a camping trip with some friends, and I don't know how, I guess I want to make sure I have this story right, but I think they had a fire pit that they thought was out or something. Well, they woke up to the fire, and they almost didn't get out of there. And you would think that would wake you up, but I guess it doesn't. Is that...
It can happen quick.
That's common?
Yeah, it can happen quick.
Where you can just be sound
asleep.
asleep.
Especially if the wind, like on that deal, if the wind picked up and it got going real quick while you're asleep, yes, that happens fast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Yeah, we can't be going back in to get our cats and dogs.
No. As much as we love them, it's not worth your life.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Well, I sure appreciate you sharing, your story, and just, and thank you for everything you do, for our community. You guys really are the real heroes
Well, thank you.
of the world.